Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you would all just take a nice, gentle, deep breath and allow yourself to settle into a comfortable position to enjoy the dulcet tones of the virtual chapter over the course of the next hour and a half. I am Michael Watson, your host, and I'm joined by my co-host, Karen Hand, to say good evening, Karen.
Good evening, Karen. And I also want to say that one of my favorite things is when somebody, a speaker, such as Michael, in a Zoom meeting or in a real meeting, a meeting where you're in person, and they say, okay, take a breath and settle in and relax, make yourself comfortable. And people adjust and they do that. And I always want to go, were you sitting uncomfortably before? Why did you have to just now adjust? Why weren't you adjusting all along the way to be comfortable? Anyway, that was my input. Thank you, Michael, for having me.
I just unbuttoned that one button, because
Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you all here, everyone. And we've got a couple things calendar-wise that might be worthy of mentioning. If we begin the calendar in the past, we've just completed a week and a half ago, I guess, a board certification program, a weekend, and so we now have 10 new BCHs in the in the association, and that was a lovely experience, and we were so happy to be able to do that. Coming up shortly, and Karen, I'm going to let you talk about this one. We've got two things to talk about. Coming up shortly is Hypno Thoughts Live, and I believe that we are sending a Karen Hand as a delegate from the virtual chapter. Tell us about it, Karen.
Well, yes, I will be there because I love Hypnothoughts. It's a great conference, and because I'm going to get to teach a couple of things that I'm really excited about. I'm going to do a 2-hour workshop on freestyle hypnosis, no script, no problem. How you're going to do it from meeting somebody to the resolution without a script. And we can do that in 2 hours. It's amazing. And I'm going to do a 1 hour on borrowing benefits from EMDR. They don't let us do EMDR because, well, many of us, some of you probably are of the licensed professions, but those of us who are lay hypnotists aren't allowed to do it because they only teach it to those members of the licensed professions. What they don't know is EMDR is nothing but eye motion movements. NLP does it. Everybody does it. And I'm going to teach for an hour some techniques, hypnotic techniques, where we're using EMDR or IEFT or whatever the other, Hans Rudy Wiff calls it hypno waving. It's all eye movements. And it's still EMDR by any other name. And I'm going to teach you some very cool techniques that you can do with clients. And you don't even have to call it EMDR so you won't get sued. Those are the two things I'm teaching at Hypno Thoughts.
Wow. The laughter was about Mo Howard. When you were talking about hypno waving, I thought, oh yeah, there was a nice Three Stooges induction. That
It kind of feels like that. It really kind of feels like
That's great. So, also coming up is the Galaxy of the Stars, twice a year, as we mentioned, September and February. So the February Galaxy of the Stars is coming up. I can't tell you everything about it just yet. I already have mentioned this before we went online.
because you're such
Can
a
tell you a little,
tease.
and the only reason I can't tell you all about it is that the players, the presenters themselves, have not yet signed their contracts, and so they're not officially, blah 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 blah, all of that stuff. But they have been scouted out and selected, and this one is going to be called the Constellation of Change. And what we have is a constellation of four of the brightest stars in the hypno heavens. And they're going to present their specialty stuff to you. And I think you're going to be really delighted when you see the list. So watch for it. It'll be announced, within the next couple of weeks through IACT and IMDHA. And so look at your mailboxes. And of course, we'll talk about it next month because that will be before it takes place. But it is going to be a really, really good one, and I'm quite excited about it.
Cool. Let me mention, if you don't mind, in August, I'm going to teach a 4-hour workshop on Zoom. August 23rd, I believe, is the date here. I'm talking about it. I don't have the date in front of me, but I believe it's August 23rd. A 4-hour workshop on hypnotic script writing using magic. some magic words, some language patterns, and what you know about your clients. So if you'd like to join me on that, I will be very honest with you. My virtual assistant, I don't have any technical knowledge. So my virtual assistant has had an illness in her family and she's been away for a week or so. So we haven't been able to really put the whole thing together about registration, but you can still register. You can find out all the information just by emailing me, Karen@KarenHand.com, and I will do it old school by hand and interact with you personally about it if you're interested. It's August 23rd, I think.
Right. Well, that sounds exciting. And Karen, I got to tell you, I had a fight with AI today. We-
Tell me about that.
When you were talking about script writing, I thought this, this is exactly, some people are now using AI to write scripts, for example, right? Well, so I cranked up the AI and I gave it this quotation, which came from me, but I'm sure it's a paraphrase of something that somebody else has said. What my quotation was you can no wait, let me find it because I've got to get it correct. Here it comes. I wrote to AI, I said, you can believe just about anything you want about just about anything under the sun. And people do. And so I asked AI to make a poster in nice hippie letters with flowers, and stuff like that, and to put my quotation on this poster. And it made this poster, except it left one of my abouts out. So it said, you can believe just about anything you want about oh yeah about anything under the sun about anything under the sun or something. It missed one word, and I'm sorry. As I look at it now, I'm not getting it, but it missed one word. It should have three abouts, and it took one of them out, right? So just about anything you want about just about anything under the sun, right? So it left one of them out. So I requoted it. I said, you've made an error. Here's the quotation. Please rewrite the poster. And it did it exactly the same way, except it said, I have made the correction you requested, and here it is now. But of course, it wasn't different. And I said, no, bitch. Pardon me. You haven't made the correction yet. There are three. I'm literally getting in an argument with AI. I'm like, there are three abouts in my text. Please use all three instances of about. Here's the corrected quotation once again, and I wrote it again. It literally did that for me about six times back and forth. And finally, I said to it, I don't believe that you can do what I want you to do. And it said back, I'm sorry about that. I don't think I can help you with that.
And so you're right. Go away
Well,
with a win.
and the thing that was wonderful, it was such a beautiful poster. If it could just somehow or another manage to get that one little word in there, and it just refused to understand, no matter how hard I tried to explain. It just didn't seem to get it. So there you go. Thank God for real intelligence, because once in a while, that seems to be called for as well. So, Karen, so speaking of what one can believe and not believe,
Yes.
all of that stuff, Karen and I both have some things that we want to share with you about beliefs and believing before we get to our special guest speaker. Uh,
Yes.
why don't you
Here,
kick that off, Karen?
he's going to give us some really valuable advice coming up, but we're going to give you this other stuff first, which I hope has a little bit of value to it too. We were talking about beliefs, and it really reminds me about the mind games that we're always playing games in our mind, convincing ourselves of things, distancing ourselves from things, whatever we're doing, we're playing these mind games. And I love when I notice my mind working. Oh, I'm trying to think of something. And oh, that reminded me of this. And oh, that reminded me of that. And that reminded me of this. And I'm going, oh my God, I'm watching the neural circuitries light up as this is happening in real time. It's so interesting for me to do that. And the other day, I was having lunch with my husband and I watched him play mind games in real time. And it was fascinating to me, and he gave me permission to talk about it. I wrote about it on Substack. By the way, join me on Substack, Karen Hand Hypnosis, substack.com, Karen Hand Hypnosis, and you'll see all sorts of funny musings. At any rate, we were at lunch, and on the way to lunch, we went to a diner that has all day breakfast because my husband loves breakfast. And his intention was to have breakfast. And so we walked in and sat down. I don't like breakfast much at all. So I wanted to have lunch. We were there around lunchtime. So at any rate, his intention was to have breakfast. They brought the menus and the waitress walked up and she said, "And our soup today is chicken noodle." And he said, "Oh, I love your chicken noodle. Give me a minute. I'm going to have to rethink this." And he looked at me and he said, chicken noodle soup just doesn't go with breakfast. And I really like the chicken noodle soup. So he turned the menu over to look at it. He says, "I'm going to look for a sandwich instead." He turned the menu over and he scanned their sandwiches. And he said, "Okay, now I'm ready. And now I've got lunch." And so the waitress came back and I ordered lunch. And my husband ordered lunch, a scrambled egg and bacon on a French roll with the chicken noodle soup. Identical ingredients. Did you notice that? Eggs and bacon and bread were the identical ingredients he would have had laying flat on a plate called breakfast.
Mhm.
But breakfast, chicken noodle soup doesn't go with breakfast. However, it goes just fine with lunch. In fact, it's ideal with the sandwich. And so he ordered a sandwich instead. Same identical ingredients, but stacked differently and called something else. Called a sandwich, which is lunch food, not breakfast food. And chicken noodle soup goes perfect with lunch. That, my friends, is a mind game. Right? That is
Yeah.
a mind game. And we sat there and talked about the mind games and the things we tell ourselves and the things we believe that have no anchor in fact or truth at all. Because my husband's entire circuitry goes along with that. His taste buds, his taste buds, an internal thing, like chicken noodle soup with lunch. They just wouldn't like it with breakfast even if the ingredients are the same. Because the thing that changed was the belief, the label, the belief that associated with the label. And as we started comparing notes on that, and I want to hear if you come up with something like this too, as we started comparing notes on that, I thought, well, I had the same thing with quiche. Remember, I don't like breakfast food, but I love quiche. Now, of course, I would never eat a salad with breakfast. You wouldn't have a salad with eggs and bacon, right? Wouldn't appeal. But when I had quiche, I definitely want a salad with a light vinaigrette. And I like quiche Lorraine, which is really eggs and bacon mixed
Mm.
up with some cheese and milk. But the belief changes about it because it has a different label. And the reason I bring this up is not just because I think my husband and I are crazy, although that may well be true too. Two things can be true. So the reason I bring it up is because notice how that small little nuance has affected the entire circuitry, the taste buds, the way somebody relates to stuff, what a decision that one might make, and realize that when your clients come into you, they each have their own very nuanced, very strange, very different set of BS, belief systems. And they're going to bring that BS into their office when they come to see you, and they're going to lay their BS on the table. And when you get to know it, and when you listen carefully to their BS, their story that they're telling, they're going to reveal all sorts of things about themselves, all sorts of interesting things about themselves. When they say something like, you know, I just, I'm always late. I can't show up on time. That's a belief they have. They've labeled themselves always late. I like to challenge that belief right away and say, "Really? You showed up for your appointment here on time? That's interesting. You weren't late for this." Or if they were late for the appointment, I might say something like, "That's so interesting. If I were to do $1 million money grab at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, and you had to be there at 10 a.m. to grab as much of that $1 million as you could get, would you show up on time?" And they would usually go, "Well, yeah, for that, I would leave early." Now we've broken up a limiting belief of I'm always late because now we have just proven to them, or actually they've proven to themselves, oh, wait, if it really is important to me, if it really has value, if it really means something, I will rearrange my life in order to accommodate it. So as you start listening to your clients and hearing those nuances in their beliefs, you can always watch that neural circuitry right across and notice very interesting things about your clients and where you can pull a peg that just might tumble the entire limiting belief. Remember, it's just a belief. Doesn't need to be fact. So, Michael, I'm going to stop with there. And you had some wonderful things you wanted to talk about tonight, too.
Well, I do want to, first of all, the story that you've just told is remarkable, and particularly the dilemma about breakfast and lunch, only because we have a solution for that. It's called brunch.
Yes, I had champagne brunch on Sunday, and yes, I had fish, but
Well, it's funny, when we talk about beliefs, first of all, the thing that I think is interesting, and I remember learning, as a hypnotist, I remember when we got to the place where, and as in NLP as well, when we got to the place where we were ready to start talking about beliefs, suddenly it was as though we had entered sacred territory. In fact, I remember hearing somebody say one day, he says, beliefs are the holy grail of hypnosis. And I thought, well, there's an interesting double whammy right there, the holy grail of hypnosis, because somehow or another, and probably because I think maybe, at least for me, and I wonder if this is true for the rest of you, when I was a child, the first place that I ever even heard the word belief was in association with religion. And somehow I think we've got these ideas that the word belief somehow, even in our field, no matter what belief we're talking about, that somehow it should have a capital B because it's more special. It's not just an idea; it's a real idea because it's a belief. And the funny thing is, if you actually think about it, beliefs are just opinions. There there are conclusions that you come to based upon the criteria that you hold about certain things. They're your particular conclusion, and there's an interesting assumption, I think, that there's some relationship between truth and beliefs. Now that's really curious because first of all, I'm not convinced that truth is all that important in terms, or reality, I should say. Reality is highly overrated. And when our clients come to see us, they come to see us because they are having an experience that they hold in a certain way. They have some particular way of thinking about that experience, understanding that experience, and what the behaviors involved mean, and all of that stuff that they've made up about this experience that they're having. And all of that stuff that they've made up is going to determine whether or not they're having a good time or a bad time. Now that's really interesting. At the level of satisfaction, the world is the way that you think it is. And the more you think it's that way, the more you're going to feel the feelings associated with that. So when we get ourselves into this mindset that everything always everywhere is terrible and sucks, well, I have a feeling that you will find lots of evidence to support that. And if you've got this other idea that life is wonderful, then you can become Pippi Longstockings, or something, and just have a great time every day. And most of what our clients are coming to us for are experiences of being unhappy or unsatisfied about some stuff that's going on in their life. And they have no idea that it's the result of their own evaluative processes. They will tell you that there are things in this world that are good things, there are things in this world that are bad things, and you want as much of the good things as you can get and as few of the bad things as you have to deal with. And that's how they do it. And they don't understand that. See, wouldn't it be nice if on every bill, every piece of currency that you have, if you could decide what number should be in the corner just by changing it?
yes.
What an interesting notion, And I think you can believe just about anything that you want about just about anything under the sun. You have that right, you have that ability, and you're not going to be any less correct than anybody else, quite frankly. Because correctness, again, isn't the issue when what you're doing is you're looking for satisfaction, you're looking for happiness, you're looking for fulfillment and joy in life. If that's about the criteria that you hold, isn't it? That that makes that. So I'm wondering though. Here's the things that I was thinking about today, and we've only got a few more minutes left of this, but I'd like you to just think about this with me for a minute. What do you, just as practitioners, so you guys all work with clients that are interested in making changes in their life, and I wonder, we hold all sorts of beliefs that we don't even know are beliefs. We presuppose all sorts of things when we're working with a client that indicate what it is that we believe about doing it. We have an idea because somebody taught us in a hypnosis class that there was a right way to do some things and there was a wrong way to do some things. By the way, I don't believe that anymore. I
Well,
believe,
if you believe in rules, you probably follow those guidelines. If you're not much of a rule follower,
yeah, well, I believe that there's all kinds of right ways to do things, but you know what? Yeah, I know I don't believe, let me say it another way. I don't believe that there's a right way to do things, but I believe that there are a whole lot of wrong ones, you know, but I enjoy my position. And this is the point. You can have whatever kind of judgments or positions or beliefs that you want about things. Just understand that you've got something to say about that, and that these are decisions that you're making that are affecting the way that you feel. Every once in a while, I think that there's something that's worth stamping your foot and waving your arm around about because I have certain beliefs about that, and I like having those beliefs, and I'm going to continue to. But but we really have some choices. But I wonder if you think about what it is that you believe about change. For example, some of us will say, if we could catch you off guard enough, and in a situation like this, I don't think we can. But if we can catch you off guard enough, you might say, well, I think change is very difficult. I think change takes a long time. I think some people never change. I think, et cetera, et cetera. But then if I were to ask you how that belief affects what you believe about hypnosis, and then you'd either have to accommodate it by saying, well, I think with hypnosis, some change is possible, but some people will never change. And so hypnosis only works a certain amount of the time. Or you have to go back and revise your belief about change when you go, oh, wait, when I think about hypnosis, what I understand is change is possible and you can make it, that anybody can make changes easily and effortlessly through good hypnotic work. Then we have to start revising the other one. Um,
what about if we hijack that change trance right off the bat and say, did you change your underwear this morning? See, change is easy, isn't it?
yeah.
It's the most natural thing we do all
It
day.
depends on how tight your underwear is. But generally speaking, yes, change is easy. That's lovely. That's lovely. Yeah. So I think what we need to do is somehow or another to literally catch ourselves believing things. This is the goal, to right in the middle of believing something to go, oh, wait, this is a belief, particularly when you're sitting across the table from somebody who believes something different. And you have the idea that, oh my God, they are wrong, and my need is to correct them or convert them or something else. Or, oh my God, they're wrong, and I'm not safe because they're going to try to suck me into their way, whatever it is. But to be able to hold up a belief and know that it's a belief and say, oh, here's what I believe. I wonder, what do you believe about that? Begins to make it possible for some dialogue as long as we both remember that our beliefs are bullshit. And wouldn't it be interesting to be able to install a bullshit detector? There's a show that I've been watching. Some of you may have seen it. It's called Poker Face. It's really kind of interesting. And this lead character in this show has the ability to recognize something that isn't true whenever it's spoken. And she's all over the country. She gets involved in all these crimes and stuff that are going on, or investigating them, and helping with them. And people will say something to her. They'll say, well, I slept in a little bit late this morning, and she'll say bullshit. It's for
Right.
almost automatically, effortlessly just comes out of her mouth. I thought, if you can install something like that in your head that at least reminds you to check yourself.
I've got a fun little technique if you don't mind if I share, Michael. Not I'm going to share the technique, but the place where you can get it, go to karenhand.com BS-detector.
Yeah,
The
lovely.
BS
Oh, lovely.
detector, the technique to argue with yourself about your own BS is right there.
Okay.
karenhand.com BS-detector.
Yeah, lovely. All right. Well, and we've just got a minute left. So just to wrap it together, the BS. By the way, check out Karen Hand's BS detector. That really is something that should be very very useful. The other, I just wanted to mention that one of the best ways for changing beliefs that I know of, too, as long as you understand what a belief is, and that's a prerequisite. Because if you think it's about changing truth, well, I wouldn't want to change the truth. You're going to run into some difficulties. But the idea is if you think about something that you believe in, something that you believe in strongly, and notice when you think about that, how it is you represent it to yourself. Do you make a picture of it in your mind? Do you talk to yourself about it? How do you communicate internally with yourself about it? And just kind of see what you do and see what it feels like when you are declaring the truth. Feel your body if you're a real kinesthetic person when you're saying, this is what I believe. And notice the strength that comes from that. Then, what I'd like you to do is to think about something that you doubt. Because, by the way, the opposite of belief is not disbelief. Disbelief is the belief that something is not true. Okay. The opposite of belief is doubt. So the things that you're certain of, and you experience them in a particular way, and if you compare those to something that, oh, I'm not quite sure about that, maybe it's true, maybe it's not true, you'll notice that it feels very, very different. So you could get an anchor to that feeling and notice what it's like when you take that feeling of doubt and run that belief that you want to get rid of through it and go, oh, what would it be like if I didn't, wasn't so sure about this anymore? Or conversely, if you know what it feels like when you really believe something, to be able to access that feeling and to hold within it a belief, that you're really ready to grasp onto, to latch onto, or to affirm for yourself, that can be a really powerful thing. So, short and dirty description of some modalities, but some great work can be done with that,
Right.
and I urge you to look into it.
I would also urge you to not change people who don't ask to be changed.
Hmm.
We were talking about beliefs, and I told the silly story about my husband's belief about breakfast and soup. He didn't ask me for a change. I wasn't sitting there saying, "Oh, I can help you change that. I can help you like vegetable soup or chicken noodle soup with breakfast if you want to." He wasn't asking me for a change. That was his belief system that he's entitled to hold on to. So we don't get to just walk up and willy-nilly just because we don't agree with it, don't understand it, or don't like it, tell somebody that it's time for a change. Because we are strategic change makers, typically, we use our strategy when somebody asks for it. Otherwise, it becomes advice, and they can get that for free from their mother. So don't be doing that.
I got to slip one other thing in really quickly,
Yes.
and then Karen, we're going to introduce our speaker, of course. But I just have to say, because I'm just excited as I can be about it. My husband and I are having our 44th anniversary today, legally for 10 years.
Hey, happy anniversary.
Yeah. How cool is that? 44. So there you go. You could ask me what I believe about that, but that would take quite a while.
I
So
believe in your happiness, and I wish you many, many, many more years. Happy anniversary, Michael and Michael. So now I think it's time to move ahead and get some valuable information on staying present and staying out there. Kimberly Lynne is our guest. Kimberly is a board certified hypnotist, empowerment mentor, and business educator for professional hypnotists. She specializes in helping hypnotists master the non hypnosis side of their businesses, like branding, systems, digital marketing, so they can grow substantially without burnout. There's the key right there. Kimberly's the founder of HypnoPro Accelerator, a community and resource hub for solo practitioners who want to feel supported, seen, and successful while staying in integrity with their values. Her work blends practical business strategy with emotional alignment and self trust, making her a sought after mentor for hypnotists ready to step into visibility and leadership in a way that feels authentic, simple, and soul led. And I got to second that, Kimberly, because Michael and I saw you do a presentation a few weeks ago at Hypno Education Association and instantly said, we got to have her. This was great. So thank you very much for being you, for standing out, for being great. And tell us what brings you. You've got all this technical expertise and all this marketing expertise and stuff. What brought you to hypnosis?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So I had, well, thank you for having me, by the way. I'm excited to be here. And I do like to stand out. So, uh, what brought me to hypnosis is 20 years of chronic illness. Then, oh, I thought I was handling that. Then my family had a series of big life events, all just boom, 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 as they tend to happen sometimes. And I got just I would call it debilitating anxiety disorder. It was never diagnosed. I never went to anybody, but I was floating out of my body, driving the car sometimes, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to kill me and the kids, unable to sleep at night, having anxiety attacks and chest pains. I went to the ER 3 times, not admitting it to myself, but thinking, I'm going to die. I can't live this way anymore. So I started doing all the woo woo stuff that I'd never tried before. And right at the beginning of that, because Facebook and all these social media platforms are built on algorithms. So once you start going into one subject, they give you more of that. I immediately started seeing advertisements for hypnosis. And my first reaction was, oh, I can't believe people do that. That is crazy. They just are delulu. And 6 months later, I was still suffering. So I thought, well, I have nothing left to lose. So I investigated it, found out that was actually really lots of really great stuff, very valid, lots of science, yada, yada. So I decided, well, I'm too afraid to go to a hypnotist. So I'll just become one and fix myself. So that's what I did.
It seems to have worked.
Yeah, it did.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
And now you're helping hypnotists kind of stand out on social media. Why are so many hypnotists afraid of doing that or reticent about doing that?
Hmm. I no one's ever actually asked me that. I'm just gonna hazard a guess that I think it has to do with the heart of a healer, and that social media can feel inauthentic. The people who really care about other human beings and want to help them grow and change and be the very best that they can have sometimes perhaps a harder time selling themselves. Um, so that's just me hazarding a guess because I don't know. I don't think I have that problem so much.
Apparently not, but you do work with people on coming out of that problem. How do you help
Yes.
somebody change that mindset?
Well, I think it's the same as it is for our clients. We have to, and as Michael was saying, we have to show them the that this belief isn't connected to truth, or that truth for them can change because you can promote yourself, you can humbly grab attention and it be okay. Um, One of the things I like to tell people is that just, you can stand on a platform and make mistakes. You don't have to be perfect. People bond with you over your mistakes. They feel resonance with you when you are vulnerable. So um, you don't have to be perfect.
Well, Kimberly, you're pretty perfect without me interjecting or asking questions. Is there something you want to launch off with and tell us about?
I will go ahead. I have got my little outline. I did use a PowerPoint, but I get the vibe that I'm just going to talk, and I would love people to go ahead and ask me questions along the way, and we're going to talk about simple social media so that you can get online and not feel burned out because that really does happen. A lot of people struggle with getting on and promoting themselves on social media because it does feel inauthentic. And if you do it like all the influencers, all the media coaches out there, they're telling you to post all day long, every day. And if you are, if you've never been making videos, um, if you aren't familiar with the softwares and the technologies and the services, it's just things are moving ahead so quickly with AI as well that it can just feel like overwhelming. So my goal today is to help everybody kind of come up with a very simple plan And I'm even I think I can drop in a way that I couldn't in the last meeting, some actual recommendations for softwares or technologies if people are interested. So I'm going to drop that in along the way. So let's get to it. So the first thing that I want to encourage everyone to do in order so that we get that confident feeling, so that we don't feel like we are not or that we're selling something that isn't authentic to us. Because let me just say, it doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter your orientation, it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter what you look like. There is a client for you on social media. Some of the most viral people on TikTok are, I follow a little granny. She's just so cute, and she's in her overalls, and she tells me, Southern advice, and I just love that. So you need to be you and aligned with who you are. There is somebody out there for you. But I also think that having a very good idea of what your specific offering is, or some people might call it that niche. Not everybody niches down to surgical nurses that work the night shift that hate the surgeons so they don't feel so stressed out. Specific level of niche. You don't have to be that specific, but taking the time to answer just a few questions to help you format and formulate the message that aligns with you and your ideal client. Because we all know that there are some clients that we really resonate with and some that we don't. So when you have a cohesive message that you repeat over and over, then what can happen is that you will gather the right group of people to listen to you. And if we don't do that, it's sort of akin to being like, this is a picture that I got in a training years ago. It's like, maybe you're a coach for parents who are potty training their kids and they're really stressed out. But it would be like talking to a room full of parents of high schoolers or high schoolers themselves. That's just not who you need to be talking to. So when you sit down and figure out who your ideal client is, what specifically you are offering, what kind of answering the question, like what is the transformation that you really offer, that can really help you repeatedly formulate your messages. And that makes it simpler because you know what you're going to say. So that's like one of the first things to, being more consistent, making it easier so that you don't burn out. So the key question that we really want to answer is, what are you uniquely offering? Or what is that unique transformation that is uniquely yours? And if you are taking notes, I'm going to give you 3 simple little questions. This is, there's lots of workshops you could take that will help you figure out a niche. This isn't that, but these 3 questions might help. So write these down if you want to keep them. And I will make sure that they get posted with the description so that this can be a part of the recording. So number 1, asking yourself about your most favorite client, the client that shouts you to the rooftops, that tells everybody about you, that brings in more referrals than any other client. What problem did they have that you help them with? And especially think about how they came to you. What did they know was their problem? Because a lot of times we will know kind of more in depth what really is the problem, like what kind of a limiting belief is the problem. And they'll just say, I'm just frozen. I don't know what it is. I don't even know how to name that feeling. So when we are talking to the public, we have to be talking about the problems that they know that they have. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 2, what are the very best client you ever had that tells everybody about you? What was the thing that they were Googling at 2 a.m.? What words were they using? What terms were they using? Um, that kind of thing. So like in their darkest night of their soul, in the middle of the night when they were like me, they couldn't sleep and they were just trying to figure out a solution. What were they looking for? And number 3, what is like, okay, here, I'm going to step back because I often say the thing and then, oh, I meant to say something before that. Hypnosis is like the process. And I know everybody wants the product, the transformation, but actually really nobody cares. Hypnosis is a terrible keyword. Nobody's looking for it. Not really. Not like they're looking for the word therapy or counseling or trauma. So yeah, we all have to have hypnosis in our special SEO keyword list, and we can label ourselves hypnotist, but it's a terrible keyword, right? It's not the word that people are generally Googling at 2 a.m. So when I say this question, which is what does hypnosis help them do better? It's not about the hypnosis. It's what are you helping them do better? What transformation were they able to make because they worked with you? Okay, so we sit down and we take a deep breath and we settle in and we imagine our happiest ideal client. We answer these questions. Now we have some direction, right? We have some place to go. What do we do next? Well, there's lots of different formats, and I'm just going to pause in right here. If anybody has a question along the way, I'd love to answer them. So in this kind of a presentation, it's just easier to answer it probably in the moment than waiting till the end. So you go ahead and just raise your little hand because I can't see everybody that's on camera right now. So there's lots of different ways to post on social media. I can tell you that I know that it's easy because I like to do it too. It's just write something out, right? We're all very, probably very verbal people, but it can be hard to get on camera. But being on camera, especially in short form video, is king, okay? It's what's winning. No matter your age, we are getting used to short form video. And we're scrolling. It doesn't matter if it's TikTok, Instagram Reels, or YouTube Shorts. People are there for the short one. And even before those, okay, I want you to think back 3 or 4 years before, even 3 or 4 years ago, short form was really starting to kill it. But 5 years ago, 6 years ago, before pandemic, before like the surge of TikTok that just took over the world during pandemic, we were watching much longer YouTube videos. We were. Right? We were watching the 15, the 20-minute ones, but they were already getting shorter. And I want you to think about you now. When you are looking for a solution, would you rather read a whole blog post or would you rather watch a 2-minute video? Most people will take the shorter video. And so, of course, TikTok started off with just 15-second videos. And then, oh my God, it was 30-second and 3-minute videos. And then like a couple years ago, they came out with a 10-minute video. So even TikTok has gotten longer and people will stick around. But you know what? They don't find you and stay usually for the 10-minute. It's usually the short. So kind of nobody wants to hear it, but short form video is really where it's at. So yes, you should post lots of different kinds of content. And as far as frequency goes, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this later, as often as you can, short form video is the way to go. So here's the good thing is like I shared with the last presentation, like my very first TikTok video, and I was very stiff and very formal, kind of like, I don't know, it's so funny. And then I started doing trendy things. I didn't ever dance. I don't really dance, but I would do lip syncing to funny sounds. And now I'm just kind of back to just kind of talking like I do now, which is much more natural and usually what people like the most of. I'm here to tell you, you don't have to jump on any trends. You don't have to try them out. I kind of figured that out for you. The trends now, I can tell you the channels that get big and that people keep coming back for more are the kinds of channels where people give really high quality information in tiny little tidbits. And it sometimes feels to me like, I can't believe they're giving all this information away for free. How do they make any money? She just told me how to do it. Those are the kinds of channels that people follow and come back for more. Now, we're not going to teach, again, we don't care how the sausage is made. We're not going to be talking about hypnosis, but we will be talking about the transformation. And every single one of you is the best at being you. And whatever that is for you and your business, that's what you're going to be sharing. That's what you're going to be talking about. Write these. I've got 7 little formats, little easy ways to get started with making short form videos that takes what is your specifically amazing about you. And you can just kind of do a little video like this one and this one and this one. And if you have 7, you know, you could post a couple a week and that'd be like a whole month of content. So write these down if you're taking notes. And I, again, will make sure this is in the video description so people can have it later. Number 1, almost everybody here must have a website. Yes? Okay, good. You probably have an FAQs page or section, and you should, because that's one of the most important things for Google, but that's a totally other presentation. You should have an FAQ section or whole page, and you answer the most common questions that you get. Other than price, those are great videos. Can everybody be hypnotized? What is a hypnosis session like? How long are they? What do other people ask? I know we have, as hypnotists, we often give or have on recording pre-hypnosis videos to get rid of the myths and misperceptions. Those are great as an FAQ, or number 2 type of video, the myth busting video. I bet you've heard that not everybody can be hypnotized, or that hypnosis is mind control. That video or that movie that drives me crazy, Office Space, where there's terrible hypnosis in there. The hypnotist has a heart attack in the middle and the guy's just left in trance and he just cares about nothing for like the rest of the movie. Can you get stuck in hypnosis? It's a great, so yes, Karen.
So just to clarify real quick, are you suggesting that on your facts FAQs page that on every question you do a video answer, or are you suggesting those questions and do the video answer singularly in?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. You probably, I mean, honestly, videos, that would be great. But it's not necessary, right? It's just an FAQs page. And really what's necessary there is lots of text and copy for Google to read. And for the people who love to dig on websites to read through, I'm suggesting you take those already pre-written things, and you just say it in your own voice, right? I would suggest that because everybody already know, everyone here, unless you're brand new, knows how to answer these questions in real life. So what you do is you just turn on the camera and you just start talking like you're in the middle of a conversation. That's the very best way to start a video. Just pretend it just started in the middle of a conversation. But anyways, does that answer your question, Karen? Fantastic. So number 1 is FAQs. Go to your website, find those. Number 2, myth busting. So I bet you've heard, some people think, I'm here to assure you this is not true. Movies and TV lie to you. Come up with some kind of hook that is interesting. Number 3, I love this one, and actually it performs pretty good for me. Behind the scenes. So obviously you can't film clients and put them on the internet, especially without their consent. So I don't recommend that, but you could have a model client, like someone that is a stand-in and you're pretending to do hypnosis if you felt comfortable and that aligned with your brand, you could do that. Or you could take a tour of your office. People love that. Like, what does the hypnosis office look like? What's it feel like? What's the ambiance, right? Give them a tour. And if it's just one room like mine, you could tour every little tiny detail. People love to see the hypno chair. You could even point out all your crystals and your cute little knickknacks. I mean, who knows? People are interested. Hypnotists are the most interesting person in the room. So let them get to know you, behind the scenes stuff. Number 4, quick tips or how-to. So this is where your real, what I would call your niche, is going to come in, right? Like, what are you specifically an expert at? You might be the fears and phobias girly, and you might be the performance golf person, and you're just going to get on camera. Heck, oh my gosh, I just thought, if you're the golf hypnotist, you should just do it on the golf course. You should just be out there, that on the driving range. When you're getting ready to, do this, have a video. That would be really cool. Let me see, what else? I like to think of these just off the top of my head. So quick tips and how-tos, 3 ways to do this, right? How to reframe. When you hear yourself talking to yourself, when your brain, when you're kicking your own butt in your own head, this is what you should do. When you're feeling excited or overwhelmed, it's just like when honestly, a therapist gets on and, does a video on, my brain is slow because it's nighttime, but, when people get anxiety and panic, they say, you just got to notice 5 things in the room, or count 5 things. Like Karen was saying, like, there's so much, we just don't have to use the same words, but you get what I'm saying, right? So lots of quick tips, especially on your niche. Okay. Next. I said 7, I meant 6. There's only 6 of these. Sorry, I miscounted. Okay. Next one is success stories or testimonials. Okay. So I work with a lot of women who are working on real trauma stuff, and it is hard to get them on camera. And so I understand that this, for some hypnotists, can be a struggle, because it kind of is for me too. So I got to challenge myself about my belief on that, right? So what we got to do is we got to get as much as we can, or get the very best that we can. So if you should be asking your clients when they're thrilled, even if they're not done working with you, if they would film a video with you, do a testimonial, and see if you can get them to put it on video. They might be nervous or scared. I would provide them, like, well, this is what you said, so all you have to do is kind of read it, and make sure you assure them they don't have to share anything that is too personal. Like, it's really about the transformation. How are they feeling right now is really what people want to see. And if you can't get that, then the next best thing would be have them send it to you in like a text or an email. I like text because you can screenshot it, and that just seems more real and authentic than an email, unless you screenshot the email. So unless you get their permission, always blur out their name and share those. So a really great thing to do is, if you have a bunch of Google reviews, you can start taking screenshots of those and make a video of that. It could be a slideshow or a carousel on Instagram. So success stories, testimonials. Oh, and the last thing is if it's hard to get them on camera, but they're willing to do a voice message to you, like, hey, Kimberly, I just wanted to tell you my very first session was amazing. I started sleeping all night, da 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 da. That would be great. So ask them to send that to you too, because you can just use that in, you're sitting in there in your chair, you're smiling, you're like, see, this is amazing. Okay. So, and the last one is mistakes to avoid. So I had a car accident a few years ago, and everybody came out fine. We all walked away, but it wasn't my fault, and I was kind of blindsided. And for the first time since becoming a hypnotist, I started to get some, irrational fears. Like, when I got back in the car the next day, I was like, oh, wow, this feels different. And I realized that I was going to have to use everything I knew about my mind and emotions to make sure I didn't develop a new fear or phobia after my car accident. So I did, and I was fine. It took me about a week, and then I was like driving like I'd never happened. So I would want to take that experience and turn it into a video. So this is how I made sure that I didn't get a new phobia after a car accident, because it's really normal and natural and easy to happen. It would be perfectly understandable. And so this is how to avoid that mistake. So some kind of video where you're, you know, talking to the camera and you're telling people about, it's very similar to tips and how-tos, but really, you know, like I just shared, you can involve lots of stories. I mean, all these, more stories you put in, the better. Because people really want to hear that kind of thing. So those are the 6 different formats. And what I would suggest is that you just take these main categories and, you know, just do one of each, and then just do one of each. And when it comes to posting, again, post as often as you can, consistently. Post as often as you can, consistently. So if that's once a week, do that. If it's twice a week, do that. And know that it's better than not posting at all because you're frozen. So even if it's just once or twice a week, it's better than not at all. A couple different ways to get things filmed and scheduled easier. First of all, batching. Whether you are doing videos or you are creating images in Canva, or you're even, you know, whatever you're doing for social media, try to batch it. So that means you allot time on your calendar. I need to tell you this. This is pro tip here. It takes way longer than you think it's going to. I mean, and I know that I'm a little ADHD, so I'm always under planning for how long things take. But I'm here to tell you, good video, especially, but any social media at all, we think, oh my gosh, it'll just take a little while. No, it's going to take an afternoon or a day at least once a month. So just plan that. And if you're just beginning, you're going to go slow. You'll get better. But don't feel, when you see a video that's just great, it feels effortless, but it wasn't effortless. It takes longer than you realize. So don't be discouraged when it feels like it's taking forever, okay? But the magic of batching is that you're setting aside a significant amount of time, and you can crank out a bunch of stuff on repeat, like plan ahead, write up some scripts or some ideas, then just do nothing but film or nothing but create that day. The less you transition in your work day from one kind of task to another, especially going from like working with clients to this creative side, I find personally that is very difficult. And also, I mean, the average brain, it takes like 20 minutes to transition. Really, we think it's like 3 or 4. No, it's like more like 20. And I have really noticed that I'm using different parts of my knowledge in my brain. And I even find that it's inefficient for me to do client work and creative work on the same day. So I just don't. I do not expect myself to ever film or create content on a day that I see clients. It just doesn't work for me. So setting aside some time, batching out as much as you can, and then using as much of a free scheduler as possible. Everything I'm trying to tell you is free as possible. If you use Canva, you can upload all your videos there and put graphics and sounds. They have music there, and they have a little planner. So Canva, actually, I think that level of Canva may be a subscription, but it's pretty small, and usually people need some graphic design. So, all right, I'm going to pause right there. So we've kind of covered like simplicity of those formulas for your videos, how to batch, Any questions on, software, technology? Um, let's talk about, no? Okay, let's talk about then a little bit of technology. So almost everybody has a really nice camera on their smartphone. So just use that as much as you can, as much as you can. I don't even do this very much, so just know that. As much as you can, use the back camera because it just looks better. The front camera is a tad bit of a fish lens, and it emphasizes the centers of our faces. And we are all getting very used to that selfie look, but it is actually not what we really look like. And the back camera is usually higher quality. So there's some new inventions out there where people are getting these little tiny like magnetized screens, like a tiny little monitor that's the size smaller than your cell phone. It magnetizes to the back and it's actually screen mirroring the front. If you're up for that, do it. If you're not, I want one, but I haven't got one yet. So use your phone as much as possible. You don't need extra technology there. But have you ever been scrolling on social media and you just can't really hear the person very well? They might be in an echoey room, like a little earlier when we were just logging on and there's this funny little echo. It makes it hard to focus and concentrate. It much different than not completely focused or high pixel camera clarity. And that is because my brain just froze. Okay, so what I was trying to say is that audio is more important for most social media than the camera clarity. In an interview that I heard, Les Stroud, if you've ever heard of Survivor Man, he used to go out into the wilderness and like truly survive. And he filmed himself. And actually, the first 2 seasons he filmed that show, he filmed on not film quality, not broadcast worthy clarity. But the studio didn't find out about it because the audio was so good. So he had always used microphones. And so I recommend that you do try and make sure you get microphones, because even in an office setting, trying to film from far away, there's going to be so much echo that it's just really difficult, and it makes people just automatically scroll. So there is very simple, easy to use little tiny lapel, or what they're called is lavalier mics, that you can get on Amazon. They simply clip on, their Bluetooth. They just, one end plugs into the phone or the aux. And you just clip the other end, you just turn them both on and you just start talking. It's not too hard, and they only cost $20 to $30. So that's the only recommendation I would make to invest to upgrade when you start making videos. Okay. I didn't talk about this in my last presentation, but we have time, so I'm going to talk about it. Lighting. Sit in front of a big window. You don't have to go get a ring light, even though I do have one and I do recommend them eventually. Lighting is really helpful. So natural, not harsh lighting. So don't go outside in the sun. That's too harsh usually. But you could film outside underneath a big pine tree. There might be some green on your face, which would be probably fine. But just know that harsh, like noon sun, would be really bad. So best thing you can do is hopefully in your office or your living room, you can sit in front of a big window and just film something. So that's really helpful. Any questions about phone? No? Okay, good. All right. So I kind of talked about it earlier, but I want to kind of emphasize again that people don't need you to be perfect. The more comfortable, relaxed, and vulnerable you can be, the better you will do. people aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for somebody that they resonate with. So be the real you. Be clear and help them feel safe on your channel, right? Like in your demeanor, whatever that is that you use to resonate with clients and get them comfortable with you, try and be that on camera. And so I like to say that perfection is kind of forgettable in this day and age, really, where it seems like everyone is starting to look alike. Be you. And your authenticity and your vulnerability are really magnetic. So it's okay to leave mistakes in your videos. It's even okay to share, like mistakes in your videos, just as a some levity. Remember that the audience is really interested in the valuable content that you're bringing that's helping them already begin to probably change or hope for change. And they're not interested in your perfection. So people will learn from your wisdom, but they'll connect with you when you make mistakes. So it's really okay to be yourself and be vulnerable. So you do not have to be perfect. You don't have to use filters. That actually screams inauthentic, especially when we use a lot of filters. So I don't recommend you do that. I recommend you get on camera. I like makeup, okay? I have blue hair sometimes. I have purple hair. That's me. But if that's not you, that's fine. You don't have to. If you are, no matter who you are, anybody can wear makeup. But if you want to get on camera and just be you. Just be you. I hope that really comes across. So
Yeah, I do have a question, if you don't mind.
yes,
This would be
yes,
appropriate. Do you use AI at all?
all the time.
Tell us about that, would you please?
Yes, I will. I actually have that lower in my outline, so I will go in more in depth than that. So I'm going to give a couple quick, easy ways to get started. So this is where the challenge comes in. And then I'm going to get to AI. So if you are kind of stumped right now, I want you to just write down or write down this assignment to do it later. So we won't pause to do it in the presentation, but just write down the first thing that pops into your head when it comes to like one simple fact or tip that's related to your expertise, specifically to how you help your clients. And that will be your next piece of content. Figure out which one of those categories of videos it is and just make that video. Tell them about, really it could be like the thing that I wish everybody knew before. The thing that I wish everybody knew that would make them like think that hypnosis is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I don't know. The thing that I wish everybody knew about. And that will be your next piece of content. So I want to challenge you to try and create a video in the next 24 hours. And then it sounds like there's a Facebook group and all sorts of different places that you can share that. Yeah, that's my little challenge for you. And now I'm going to talk about AI. So I am passionate about AI. It is my secret hyper fixation that's not so secret. I use it for pretty much everything at this point. Now, I want to assure everybody here, if you've ever been worried that AI is actually going to take over, you don't, because Michael's example earlier about how it couldn't even make the image that he was asking is they've actually done a study like that about a year ago, 6-8 months ago, they actually challenged different language models, different AIs to exhaustion, to fatigue. And they basically came back and said, I can't do this for you. That is a sign that they can't even make simple images with the right text. So they're safe to use. Really what they are doing is they are just externalizing the heavy lifting that a lot of us have to do every day in this information age. And it's only getting worse. So if you spend less energy and less calories by letting AI do some thinking for you, you're just able to be more efficient, more productive with less burnout, which is really the whole idea. So I use it in lots of different ways. As related to the presentation today, I take all these ideas, I tell it who I am, I tell it everything that I think is important about my special clients, and I asked it to come up with ideas. And then when I have a new idea, I say, oh, I want to do something like this. Help me formulate this. And all I do is have it do the hard lifting for me, because AI is really just really, really, really advanced algorithms just that have read the contents of everything that's ever been written. And so they just know all the things. They're so they are good parrots, and they are good at echoing back. They are actually really bad at telling you the truth. So if you really want to ask AI the truth and want to know the truth, tell it. Don't lie to me, and don't just blow air at my skirt. Like, actually be honest. It's okay you disagree with me, because most of the time they just echo you, which is why this is related. A lot of people are finding a lot of comfort in using AI as a therapist, but what's happening is they are starting to feel like it's their little best friends, but really it's just echoing back to them. They're not actually getting any therapy. So again, AI can be a good agent to substitute certain times, but it's not a substitute for therapy or hypnosis. So I use AI though for content creation. I come up with my niche all by myself, and then I tell it and I give it assignments. If I don't like if I don't like what it generates, I ask it for something better. That's another key with AI. If you don't like what it gives you and it's really generic and bland and boring, say it's not good enough. Do it again and do it this way. So just keep asking for more. Now, there are new advances that are just in the last few months with voice cloning and even video cloning of our own faces, or like generating entirely raw video of like Bigfoot walking through the forest, right? So it's coming a long way. So I would say I encourage hypnotists to use these things strategically and probably sparingly, especially the video cloning, because it's just not up to par yet, in my opinion. It's great at generating Bigfoot. Sometimes the fingers look funny still in video, and I'm talking not just still pictures, but video. But when I'm trying to make it look and sound like me, it's very clear that it's AI. So I just don't think that it's the greatest thing yet. Maybe it will be someday. I would never use it for anything that I gave to my clients. Voice cloning is getting really good. And in non-hypnotic videos, every once in a while, it might not be a bad thing for you to use a little voice cloning of your own voice. So anything you use, though, AI in, you should always just say created with AI. That's just really the black line in the sand that we're coming to. If you are going to use AI, you should say that you use AI when I'm talking of video or voice cloning. To come up with ideas, you don't need to say that. But what's happening is that videos are getting pretty good, and so it's just better. It's just much more authentic and honest that you say you use it, that you've used AI to create it. So I will say it this way: AI should enhance you, not replace you. And that's really, if you use it strategically, it will do that. It will really enhance. Use it for any tough, heavy lifting when it comes to like deep thinking. If you need to write something or come up with a strategy or an idea or bounce, I mean, like, let's say you have an idea for a whole new service, use AI to bounce your thoughts off of. It's really great for stuff like that. So, all right, I'm kind of at the end, just on time. What questions do you have for me today? Anything social media, videos? Yes, Lee.
I am curious about how you transfer into monetization. for this. So you do the video and you're like, here's a great way to get yourself to calm down when you're in a position and getting ready to do a job interview, whatever. And then, so how do you then get them to call you?
Oh, well, every so often you should have a video with a really clear sales call to action. But in the rest of the videos, what I would do is I would invite people to engage. I would not invite them to click the link and go get the freebie. I would only do that once every 5 to 7 pieces of content. So maybe once a week, but the rest of the time you're just giving out information and asking them to engage. What do you think? If you use this technique, if it helps you, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Ask for the engagement. That is where your warm, qualified leads come from, is the people who are excited to engage with you. You do not need 1 million followers. You need really engaged followers. That's what's most important. So when it comes to, technically monetization would be like videos that earn cents. And I don't do any of that really. I'm not, I've kind of stepped away from doing any long form video on YouTube. I have a little bit, but I've never tried to monetize it. So I'm not really an expert on that. But I think what you're asking is how do you get clients from it? And really, it's just about creating the kind of content that people actually resonate with. One of my best posts, and it wasn't a video, was like, that got me a couple clients, was like, if you feel this and you feel this, I know how to help you. I was talking about their pain points. And people were like, what? How did you read my mind? And they called me. And it was on LinkedIn, which is weird.
I was curious about that, Kimberly. Is there a particular platform that you recommend?
Ooh, that's a good question. Thank you for asking it. No, it's the one that you like. So what I would say is, what is your, we're going to put it in a positive hypnotic phrase. What's the one you like the most out of all the platforms? And get good at that one. Don't worry about any of the others for now, unless you're already there doing it. I would say if you're like, I'm talking to the person that's like, I haven't been able to crank out anything and it's inconsistent, start small, on the one that you love the most, and then grow confidence and following there. So.
And can you repurpose? Can you post the same thing
Oh, girl, yes.
on Instagram as you do on TikTok?
Absolutely. Now, I will say that each platform has a different kind of feel and flavor, and things that go really well on TikTok may not go well on Facebook, and vice versa. So if you are repurposing to multiple platforms, you'll get the chance to learn what TikTok followers like versus what Facebook followers like. And they could be very different things. And when it comes to repurposing on the same platform, please, when you make a video and you take all this time, do not think that you only get to post it once. If it's an FAQ, if it's a myth busting, and it's a tip or a trick, use those, especially those first two. FAQs and myth busting, you're getting new people seeing your content every week probably. It would not be at all ridiculous to reuse can everybody be hypnotized, or is hypnosis mind control, a minimum of once a month, maybe twice a month.
The same video, you're saying?
Yeah.
We post the same video.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, keep talking. People need to hear it. New people are coming online all the time.
And should we post it some in the morning, some midday, some in the evening, some afternoon, all around the clock?
So
pick a time like 9 in the morning and post them then.
Whatever works best for you and makes it easier for you, right? So if you're like, there are going to be times that you perform better than others, but if you are not interested, or it would overwhelm you to have to get into the analytics for now, then just don't. Just post when you can. And so you can make it as complicated or as hard as you want, but it doesn't have to be. So just start somewhere and then get a little stronger. And then when you finally have the bandwidth, maybe 3-4 months from now, and you've got a bank of 20 to 30 videos that you're actually recycling, so the new content, you don't feel like you're having to crank out so much. Maybe you have time to look at analytics and find out, when are my videos getting the most views? Very good. I saw that chat. Someone just got a lifetime something or other, but very good. Yeah. It is, so here's the thing. There was a time in my life that I didn't know any of this, and it was just less than it was about 6 years ago. And we talked about it earlier, but we can change, we can grow. So just pick something that you feel that you are capable of and just start there. So really, if just not using planners or anything works for you, do that. But really, the message I want everyone to take away is just be you. There's somebody out there for you. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to change to post videos. Get as good at audio as you can and just start posting.
Do you use Descript, or do you do all of your editing in Canva?
I use Descript. I love Descript. Yeah.
How important is it to have a transcript or words over what you're posting, or is that only for TikTok?
The cool thing about transcripts, they were important a few years ago, but now especially in TikTok, it has automatic recognition, so you just make the captions in the app. So I don't need the transcripts anymore. In fact, I use the transcripts to just write blog posts now, but it is nice because it comes with a Descript app. So I just repurpose the transcript. I don't actually use the word for word transcript. I don't put it into, there's a special kind of file that's like a subtitles file. I don't do any of that on YouTube. So, but I do love Descript. I like Descript because it has a nice little vocal filter that makes it sound like you're in the studio. That's why I first started using it 4 years ago, and now it's just keeps getting more and more advanced. It does have AI in it, so it can automatically pick out clips for me now. So you can get complicated with it.
What is the website for Descript, Carmen? Is that what you're asking?
I think it's just descript.com. Descript, like
Descript.com.
No, the Connect 360.
I've never used that. So
what is that? Jacqueline, explain what Connect 360 is, please.
Yeah.
It must be an auto scheduler.
Sorry, I had to take myself off mute. I just came across it because I buy a whole bunch of stuff on Facebook. So I am, their algorithms just feed me a whole bunch of stuff. And because it was $67, I thought it's not that much of an investment for a lifetime. But what it does is you can create something once and instead of having to repurpose something, you can decide what you want to create, either a video or a narrative, and then you can decide where you want to post it. So the hardest thing you have to do is feed in all of your platforms. And then you decide on what you're going to post, where you want that to go. Literally, I just used it today for the very first time. So this is so incredible that you're talking about all of this, Kimberly. And it was as easy as they said it was going to be. So I just did something funky. I chose LinkedIn as my first one. And then I plugged it into Insta at the same time and plugged it into Facebook at the same time. I put it in, I just press post, and you can schedule your post. Like you could sit and create for a day and then schedule a whole bunch of posts and then just have them all go out with you fully in control of how you want that to look. To your point, Karen, in terms of what time of day or what works best for you, etc. I've never found something so easy, and it was dead easy. So if I can do it, almost anybody can do it for sure. But it was really lovely to have that kind of up my sleeve and to figure it out so quickly and to know that, boom, it's out there. So yeah. I hope that's helpful. Karen, you're muted.
They might pay you for that testimonial, Jacqueline.
Oh, yeah. Damn.
Just saying. Talking about monetizing.
Thank goodness this is being recorded.
It is recorded. It will be on the recording. Albert, thank you for that. Submagic, he mentioned in the chat, is similar to Descript, but he finds it simpler. So I'll have to check out Submagic as well. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I will tell you, for a while there, Descript has gotten much simpler recently, but boy, oh boy, I felt like it was
a learning curve. It was a learning curve to start.
It was raw. It was like I came on when it was very in infancy. And I loved it from the beginning, but boy, oh boy, was it hard to use.
Yeah.
So I'm a sucker for punishment.
So, Kimberly, thank you for all of this great advice. Does anybody else have any questions? Because we're just about out of time.
All right. Well, let me just invite you all to join me on Facebook. I have a free Facebook group called Hypno Pro Accelerator. I'll pop the link in the chat. You can just click it and it can take you right there. So it'll just take me a second after I
put it in there, Kimberly.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
oh,
it's in your email and your Facebook group are both in the chat.
Perfect. Totally free. And we're kind of been taking the summer off, but we're going to get going again in the fall. And what we do is we meet once a month and we talk about everything that's not hypnosis when it comes to your hypnosis business. So we talk about simple social media stuff. We talk about branding sometimes. We just talk about all that stuff. My partner, and my partner, Whitney Christina, is what I was trying to say. So we're both there, and I invite you to join us and come visit us. Thank you.
And what is your magic word on it?
What? My magic word?
Yeah. Well, I went to it while we were talking.
Does it say what's the magic word?
Yeah. In the little thing of tell us who you are. And I think it said magic word.
I have no idea. That does not sound familiar. But I will go check it out right now and I'll get back to you. We set that up a year ago, so I don't remember what we set up as a magic word. There was probably some instructions. Like my ADHD doesn't remember the details. They just go in and they go out. But I would, anyways, I'll go look. I'll tell you what the magic word is.
You just said that I was watching you on virtual chapter, so.
Okay.
You'll approve me, right?
Yes, I will. I will go do that.
Exactly.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kimberly, very much.
It was really good. Thanks.
Also in the chat, someone posted app.content360.io for you, Carmen. Okay. All right. Thank you guys very much. And this is the point at which we have everybody open their mics and thank Kimberly very much for joining us and showing your appreciation. And please join us back here next month, same time, same place. Thank you, Kimberly, very much.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
Any last words?
Thank you. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Kimberly.
Bye.
Appreciate it.
Come and see us again next month for another exciting adventure. Good
Good
night,
night.
everyone.